The truth about the surviving primordial gods who sealed the Yggdrasil. The rune wielded by Kentoki shown on this goddess as well, and of course the rise of the current Odin, all provided in Record Ragnarok chapter 111 and 112. That's right, another double chapter this month, which is dedicated to the insane lore about the Ragnarok world, and of course the main villain of the series himself. This is the full summary provided by the leakers. So right off the bat, let's go over these pretty cool art pieces provided by the creators. This is for Simo, this time without his face covering, Loki, and Odin's, which I believe is the best, highlighting his divine weapon and the Book of Golnia, which is a primary focus of these two lore chapters. For example, previously we left off with some tragedy being revealed surrounding the Golnia people. This is something connecting both Kentoki and Odin, but it's set up where Odin likely killed the remaining of them, with us then seeing the primordial god Golnia and this goddess as well, bringing us to the start of chapter 111. 11 entities, God Slayers, made up of 4 primordial pillars and 7 follower gods, sought to destroy all deities, the same thing we saw in Odin's primordial god flashback. These ones who are facing the 77 remaining primordial gods who slowly were destroyed one by one. This is the complete story of this flashback we learned of previously, confirming that the normal primordial gods began to fall one by one, where we shift to a scene where the gods are cursing their fate, overwhelmed by the strength of the primordial gods, that of course being the original Odin, Satan, Chaos, and Ymir, with us seeing that more than half of the primordials have been defeated, destroyed, and all they can do now is endure. It's just a matter of time, leaving them only 2 choices: die or surrender, in a sense joining the other side, which may result in death regardless. Noting they have children god to protect, with Izanagi being featured in all of these scenes. This is where Golnia arrives, shouting for them to wait, saying that he's finally here and that everyone needs to calm down and listen to him, and that he finished something he's been working on just in time, with this goddess telling him to calm down, but Golnia insists that they are the ones who need to calm down. Everyone wonders what he has created, since no magic or weapons so far have worked against the Yggdrasil, and Golnia agrees that they can't defeat him, no way, they don't need weapons, a different path. He has invented this word, the seal of the deity, a way to trap and seal the Yggdrasil, an alternative way to defeat them and save themselves. He explains that it's an adaptation of a space-time control technique, compressing space-time to create a prison from which escape is impossible, and as we see in the current Record Ragnarok era, that is indeed true. The gods tell Golnia that if it's the only way to defeat them, they accept it, and then they complete their plan, which we originally saw in the flashback. Them getting baited into the trap, where the remaining primordial gods work together to use this magic, something that could very well relate to Odin's current abilities he revealed against Kentoki recently. With only a few being left alive, as we saw, many of them had to use the entirety of their power just to seal the Yggdrasil, and the other ones that had joined that side, the 7 other primordials that we don't have names for, but we may see full designs throughout this chapter, which is pretty hype. Golnia being one of them that survived, and being, in a sense, depressed survivor's guilt due to him wondering why he survived while all these others had to fall, confirming that out of all the primordials, only 7 survived after the sealing was complete, which brings us to a decision they have to make. Whether to pass down this information about the primordial pillar gods, this is for the sake of future generations, or keep it hidden, an argument between the remaining gods, with Golnir being one that is 100% for passing down this history and how it's important, while most of the others are more so wanting to keep it hidden, hiding the truth about this situation. Golnir argues that even if you try to hide it, someone will discover it anyway at some point in the future, and the same situation could very well occur again. It's better to pass down the information, but everyone is against him. They agree that the information should be concealed for an eternity, and actually are forced to tie Golnir up, trap him for the sake of their survival. He is now considered a dangerous god due to these differing views, imprisoned, but Golnir is even someone at this point who believes that someone would appear who could defeat the primordial pillar gods in the future, whether it be other gods or maybe something else. But regardless of him being imprisoned, it seemed like everyone trusted his seal that they originally used to lock the pillars up. But the new generation of gods, many of them being disciples of Golnir himself, did not believe this to be the case. As such, they tried to free Golnir from prison, bringing him various items to escape, but Golnir tells them not to worry about him and that the gods should focus on creating something new, leave him in a past type of situation, which results in them creating a hidden village as they successfully free Golnir from prison, fully escaping and leaving the 6 other remaining primordial gods, which includes Izanagi. Bro may be on fraud watch at this point. However, this resulted in a major sacrifice, going to the furthest edge of the border in the region, fighting against his own body, which was on the verge of disappearing, what we saw in this panel here, where he wrote down the erased history, what the other primordial gods are trying to hide, the method to undo this seal in the Golnir book, which pretty much concludes chapter 111, truly highlighting the dangers of Golnir's ideas. But for chapter 112, we see that the other primordials continue with their original plan and proceed to implant a false history in the mind of the other gods. This is for everyone to begin forgetting what happened with the Yggdrasil, the original Odin. But after Golnir shows up and shows his masterpiece, the Book of Golnir, the real history of the world with all the information, he casts a spell that makes the book record everything that happens. But the price of that spell is his life, but something so strong it cannot be undone. The book is absolute in a sense now, and he dies in the arms of his beloved. But the primordials decide to burn the book, even though they didn't want to dishonor their friend's legacy, the one who pretty much saved all of them if you think about it. But when they left the book, they didn't know that the Golnir people had also planned to get the book back, his disciples. So when many years had passed, all of the world's knowledge was written down in that book. In a sense, it's eternal no matter what, due to the Golnir people, which became a whole treasure of those people to look after. With us seeing at the end of the chapter, the current leader of the Golnir people, one of the disciples who helped Golnir escape prison, is talking with a small boy who was showed up to the village, the one who will later become the current Odin in the series, which brings us to the preview for the next chapter as well. How did the gentle young god become Odin? More lore is coming for the main villain of the entire series. So that's the summary I have so far. Check out the channel's homepage, there's likely more videos out by the time you're watching this. subscribe, and that's it guys. Peace.